I would like to set up sort of like sanctuaries for it to be a sort of rehabilitation community sanctuary thing for people that are homeless and poor and all of this. So this is my idea, the pipeline. Nobody should steal this idea. Nobody should steal it unless led.
If you're listening to this and you're not a Gen Z, you might want to turn this off.
Trigger warning.
Well, welcome to Beyond the Base podcast, and this is a podcast by Gen Zs, for Gen Zs, and anyone else who cares to listen, where we talk about business, culture, technology, and the world as a whole through young Nigerian Gen Zs. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Base podcast. Today is a very special day, and I'd like to title this episode The Writer's Haven. Because with me here today, I have two writers and storytellers who also happen to be my very good friends. On my right, I have Kilali, a very brilliant storyteller and an amazing person. And I also have Jesse, short for Jesimiel. He's a creative writer, a poet, amongst other things. Right, so I'd like them to give a little introduction as well. Hi, Kilali.
Hi, Base Man. I definitely can't make the same joke again. That one is for sure.
All right.
Yeah, okay. But how to introduce myself? Like you said, writer, a storyteller. I prefer to call myself a storyteller because I see writing as just one of the creative expressions that I explore in the whole concept of storytelling. So that's who I am.
Awesome.
You don't need my job description, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Jesse,
Right.
how about you?
Great. Hi, guys. So I think I am just a creative altogether. I am a writer, I'm a storyteller. Design has me by the throat for my 9 to 5. I still find myself doing like a ton of things, but I think just things that tell stories altogether that's my forte. So.
All right, awesome. So yeah, you're probably wondering why the main character is missing today. So Ibidakbo had to fulfill some side quests, so he's not going to be around this episode. Same as Precious. So yeah, you're stuck with me today and my two lovely guests. So like I mentioned, the theme for today's episode is Writer's Haven, because writing as a medium is one of the most beautiful ways to preserve knowledge, but also to share stories. And one of my favorite things to do, I mean, aside from binge watching series and, working to earn a living, I also like writing. And in exploring that stage, I've gone on many fellowships and many programs and stuff. And that's where I've met really creative people, just like these two. So yeah, we have loads of things to talk about. But before we get into the serious stuff, how are you guys doing?
That's very, very solid and very valid question.
Yeah.
I am surviving. Very real, because so, and the irony is like the most consistent thing for me at this point is I'm trying to figure out how much it costs to get an inverter. Because the national grid crashes every 2 to 3 business days.
Yeah,
and it's
facts.
very wild because like sometimes when you have like external projects, and then I remember I had a project with this person in Netherlands, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, national grid crash. And she's like, is that an emergency? Do you guys have like a state of emergency? I'm like, no, like, that's just like a regular occurrence on this end.
It's basically a regular Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just a regular Tuesday. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, Nina, oh my God. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I'm good.
You think?
I think I'm good. I feel
let's
like
unravel that.
that's generally my response to that
stance,
question.
yeah.
I am good. I woke up. I was looking before we started. I just looked
yeah.
at my arms and I saw like 5 mosquito bites, and I was like,
my
that's
God.
interesting. So I'm good. It's a Saturday, and that's honestly the best thing that could ever happen to me because it
A
means
weekend.
peace and quiet. Yes, no 9 to 5. So
Okay, fair. I was about to ask how your week went.
it was.
It was a week.
It was a week. It was a week.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But we're always grateful. We remain grateful.
Do we have a choice?
Do we have a choice, really?
I mean, we do, but I mean, we choose to be grateful, don't we?
Yeah, fair. Speaking of gratitude, I turned a year older yesterday, and honestly, I think that was one of like the major things that was just ringing through my head all day long. Because to be very honest, I'm still quite, I won't say scared, but I'm worried at how fast time is going. Like, it feels like just yesterday we were at, the start of the year, and now April is practically over.
Yeah.
Right? We are in May, and before you know it, we're in Q4, and everybody starts doing their annual dump.
Yeah.
Which I never really do because I don't have enough pictures to do an annual dump. I'm jealous of you guys who do. Right? But yeah, back to gratitude, man. Like, working a 9 to 5, it teaches you a lot of patience, right? I never thought I would have stuck to a job this long. Sometimes, right in the middle of the stress of it all, right? Which brings me to my first question: how you guys manage to keep your creative side going, right? Despite the the deliverables from work and the stress and the demanding nature, really, of working a 9 to 5 in Nigeria of all places, right? So yeah, how's that going?
Man, I've sighed like 5 times right now. The reality of working in general, much less a 9 to 5, is that you find that your time, you're consumed by other things. Your mind is busy. You're literally always active or doing something. So I have found it quite challenging to remain creative. I used to draw. I used to paint.
Yeah, I think
draw,
I remember.
paint,
You had the page for it at some time.
I was doing a whole lot. Oh, when you're in school, no one ever tells you how free you are in school. No one.
So underrated.
Oh my goodness. Then you come out into the real world and all of a sudden there are all these things drawing you here and there. So the reality is, at a point in my life, I realized that, you're not going to be as creative as you want to be. And then I had to decide where exactly I'm going to choose to allow my creativity be expressed, right?
Yeah.
I don't write as much as I would like to anymore. So instead now, I just write my letters to God. And I call it a good day. You understand? I don't stress myself too much. I'm not able to paint or draw anymore. So you said something about design, how design has you in a chokehold. So because I couldn't paint or draw anymore, I just switched to design. And just started doing something in my office where I design our internal magazine. So it's not easy, but then you have to choose
an outlet.
Exactly. You have to choose to just try at the very least. That's my response.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jesse, how about you?
So I think personally, I think I had to steal time. I can't even lie to you. I had to steal it. So because outside of just like 9 to 5, one thing that Nigeria does is that chances are you have multiple jobs. And one thing that I had to start doing, and just like this ties back to a conversation I was having. So I saw this movie When Nigeria Happens by M.I. Dose. Really solid film. And one of the major themes in the film was that the guy and his friends were dancers, and he didn't want to leave that dancing thing to go work as a security guard, 9 to 5. And it was a sad thing because at the end of the film he goes on to, sorry, spoilers. Anyways, he just goes on to do it. And it was one interesting thing for me was that after that I was having conversations with friends about, how do you manage your 9 to 5 with these things? And what works for me really is I always have to block out time. Like, I'm sorry if the deliverables due yesterday. My employer, if you're watching this, I did not say this. But like, I'm sorry if you have deliverables due tomorrow. I block out it. I usually make sure it's like time after work, but I always block out sometime between 11 and 1 a.m. to write. Because I found that like, if I always say, when I'm free, I will write, I will never write.
That's true.
I've been on a writing project, a personal writing project for a while now. And one of the bigger things is that I always just say, you know what? I'll come back to it. I don't have time this week. I'll see you next week. This is Q4. So blocking out that time is what really works for me. And something a friend of mine said once was that sometimes we have little bubbles of time where we do nothing. Sometimes you're in an Uber and you don't have your laptop open. You can't work with you while you're in the Uber. So the alternative may be you get to write while you're doing that. So what I actively did and what worked for me was just actively even just like scheduling out these time bubbles. And I have a 35-minute time bubble. I can write a little. I have a 40-minute time bubble. I can write a little. And that's what works for me.
Calling it a time bubble is so cute.
It's
that's actually so cute, but too real.
It's a cute name. Wow. Yeah, I love that. I think I kind of do that too. I love the fact that you found an outlet that also fits into work. I'm very jealous of that because a lot of Nigerian employers are not that open-minded, if we're being very honest.
No, they are not. But luckily, I found myself in an organization that they value creativity. So it was natural.
Are you hiring?
It wasn't.
I mean, valid question. Valid question.
It was just a natural progression. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I don't really think I want to talk because I have a blog, but I only post on it sporadically these days. It's like once in a blue moon. You know, when you start on all these platforms like Medium, Substack, you're so pumped.
Passionate.
You know, you're going at it, but I mean, then sometimes life slaps you in the face. You know, so it's pretty hard, but we keep moving, right? And I think one thing that has also kept me going is communities. Right, when I started writing, or when I decided to take my writing seriously, because one distinction I had to learn was that it's a completely different thing to have a talent and to be a writer, right? To be a professional writer. And I started putting myself in spaces, started applying for jobs, which is not really, it's like a full-time job applying for jobs,
Yes.
right? One painful lesson I had to learn too. And I think communities are really what stood out for me. Right, and I want to talk to you guys about communities because I know you both, right? You lead communities. I think I will start with Kilali, right? I don't know about all the communities you're in, but I know the one we are both in, right? Although that's not necessarily, it didn't necessarily start on the basis of creativity. It started on something much higher, right? But how was that process like for you? You know, from at least getting the idea of it to making it happen.
For my specific community, I don't think I could discuss it unless I bring in the context of Jesus, because that's basically what my entire community is founded on.
Yeah.
And so two things. One, faith. Most important part of my community's name is Kaya, come as you are. The most important aspect of Kaya is our belief system, which is we all believe in Jesus Christ, we all worship the same God. But then the second thing was, just as a human being, I think that, and maybe it's why the Holy Spirit gave me the idea, but I think I'm quite open-minded. I don't really stress like that. Like on a general basis, I don't stress, you know. So I was just sitting down one day and I was like, I want to go for a worship session. And there was no one around me to do it with. And I just hit up 2 or 3 people, like, guys, how far, let's link up and do this thing. And they were like, sure, why not? And it was just natural. As most of the things that happen in my life, they just happen like that, naturally. And then we did it once, we did it twice, and we noticed that, okay, we like this thing, it makes sense, let's keep doing it. And that's just how it was. And so far, what Kaya has been is, it has been a safe space for Christians, especially young Christians. As in the society that we live in, the reality of Nigeria is that it cannot always be a safe space for young Christians. There's a lot about what the world is trying to teach you that is opposed to our beliefs. So it has just been a safe space where we're not just even talking about God only. He's definitely the foundation, but we're sitting down and we're just chilling, and everyone is just having a good time. And you know it's a safe time. Nobody's going to try and give you drugs. That one's for sure. Nobody's going to try and make you twerk or anything. You're safe. And I think that in the end, like, there's something about having a group of people that can stand with, stand with you. Nothing really replaces that. You know, it's amazing. Yes, I don't know if I even answered your question. I feel like you asked me A, and then I went to Z, and I started from there. But oh well.
Yeah. We got our answer in that.
Oh,
right? And it's really beautiful.
Okay.
So I mean, I've been a member of Kaya since 2023, and I think that's when it started.
So, yeah.
It's been quite a while now, and it was really beautiful. I mean, I can't remember how I even got the message. I just know somebody hit me up, probably Ayo, right? And it's like, oh, we're going to do this thing, right? Let's gather. We're just going to worship, and we're just a group of friends, you know, navigating life, you know, in our 20s, and try to keep God at the center of it all. And it was a really beautiful experience. And it's 2 years down the line. I mean, practically multiplied. Like, there's some people in the group I don't even know anymore, right? And that's like the beauty of communities. And moving on to Jesse. So I remember back in, I think it was 2023, you told me you were starting a community with some friends called Uncloudy. And I mean, I think I've already cracked the joke about the name and how I mistook it for, you know, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the cartoon, for those who don't know what that is. And it was really fun. Seeing. I think you had like a writers challenge, so we all dropped in stories. So yeah, tell us more about that. What inspired that, and what the community is about.
So first off, I think we probably would have like a segment at Uncloudy called Uncloudy with a chance of meatballs based on that. So Uncloudy mainly is just like a mental health community. The idea is that and it came up from personal experience. So I had a bit in 2021. It was just like anxiety, panic attacks, and everything. And at that time, I knew a bunch of people who knew a bunch of people, so it was easy to get to see a therapist, to get whatever help it was or resources I needed. But I thought about the fact that like for most people, you don't even know where to go for that kind of stuff, especially resource-wise or community-wise. You don't know who to talk to. Nobody writes anything about it, and then whenever people do, it's always like really niche
generic
stuff. Exactly. It's like, oh, people say things like, oh, here's how to feel better with your mental health. Yeah, and I'm like, okay. They say, oh, just relax. Don't think about it. I did not think about that. Oh my God. So one of the major things for Uncloudy is just like to build community. Because I know that major thing I learned was being around people helps you out a lot. Being able to talk about things that you're navigating. And also resources. So we decided, we would invest in building resources, writing about it, writing articles, just talking about it being an event and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's like a space we're already invested in at the moment. And it's going really good. It's going pretty good. I think one of the major things for us as well is we want people to be able to introspect and talk about anything.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I say that working on Uncloudy has made me a better writer.
Oh,
because in doing the work to sort of understand how introspection works for other people, introspecting has a way of doubling back on your work. Because the more you do the work in yourself to find out why you do the things that you do, when you figure that out, it helps you understand yourself and other people. And you're like, you know what? I want to write about this. Why do I never close the pots when I serve myself food? And then, stuff like that. And so I think that was really what community did for us. Or for me, at Uncloudy anyways. So yeah.
That's lovely.
I actually have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so just listening to you talk, I was wondering, how often do you get someone that's had like panic attacks or that struggles with anxiety?
So that's a very valid question. Okay. One thing that we try not to do is that we don't communicate ourselves as like
experts.
Not just experts, close enough, but we don't communicate ourselves as like a mental health clinic. If someone reaches out that, we had a bunch of those where people reach out and say, I'm struggling with this, we will always refer to the experts. Here's a therapist, because our work majorly is resource building. And one major thing we say is we want it to be as DIY as possible. So, because if you had to be on your own and you had to navigate these things, these are things that would help you. But if you need to speak to someone, there are people you would speak to. And like we just recommend, speak to the guys at Psych Babble. Psych Babble is one really great place. I'd been to their support group a ton of times. And it's a really great place to just sort of get your thoughts out and have someone who's really, experienced give like feedback on that. But a lot, people navigate anxiety in a lot of ways. And I think one of the tricky things is, and I often say, is everybody should go to therapy. Because people, you will find the funniest things. Like you find out that, you're still grieving not coming first when you were in primary 3 that one time. And it's affected how you navigate with work. Like it's just really interesting stuff.
But it's real. Because even thinking about myself, that kind of thing would have helped someone like me. Because I struggle with the exact same thing, panic attacks and then anxiety in general. In fact, it was one of the reasons I got one of the tattoos that I have. Because I had to sort of like self-medicate. I would tell myself, not with actual drugs, I beg. Just I didn't have the information that I needed. So I would say, okay, I know that if I breathe, inhale, exhale, 1, 2, 3, I'll now say, okay, breathe. We'll now do the inhale and the exhale. And that's literally the tattoo that I have, breathe, because it was like a reminder. And I'm just thinking that kind of thing would have been so helpful for me. Time as well, that's very good. That's interesting, I swear.
I think I was telling somebody recently, and I wrote something about it on LinkedIn. I dread that place, but about how the problems that we have are the problems that are easiest for us to solve. And I was citing back to Game of Thrones. Solid show, by the way.
Ball.
Exactly, very solid show. And I was talking about the fact that one thing we don't realize is that the reason why Daenerys is so pressed on saving and helping slaves is because she literally was a slave. She gets sold to the Carl, and it's like, you have to marry me. Later on, while she's still trying to help slaves, she gets kidnapped and taken as a slave again. So it's just like, this is a reminder of why I do this thing that I do, because like it's something you've dealt with, so you know exactly where the pain points are. So yeah.
Side note, who liked how it ended, Game of Thrones?
Oh,
Do you agree with the ending?
No, it
No.
pissed me off.
I liked the ending.
So
How
the
would
thing
you
is,
like
I feel
the
like
ending?
if you,
sort of like the
I'm a big Game of Thrones nerd. Like I feel like I'm the biggest one on the planet.
Bro, you know that final season came out during exams?
Yes.
I don't know if you were in school.
I was
back
in school.
then. The entire floor.
Yeah,
the
everybody,
whole
Yes.
house
everyone was watching
We
it.
didn't give it down.
No one cared.
Honestly, I dislike my roommate from that year because
Why?
this guy, I hadn't watched it. I'm like, you know what? I'm studying for exams. I'm
spoiled it
serious
for
to
you.
it. He just came and was like, yo, Daenerys is dead.
Okay, her death was not valid.
Yeah.
But I feel like Bran as the king made the most sense to me.
So
Why?
the thing is,
Neutrality?
Neutrality.
neutral. See, the thing is,
But I mean, I
Any
feel
other
like
person
that was
would have
just
been a
robbing
difficult
this guy of
choice.
his destiny.
yeah.
Which
and
guy?
So the
Jon
thing-
Snow?
Yeah.
Killer?
So, but the funny thing is,
I
funny
beg.
thing is, like I said, like I think I'm the biggest Game of Thrones nerd. I've read the books from start to finish probably 3 times.
Wow, that's
Oh.
amazing.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and one funny thing is, by the books, and this is Game of Thrones nerd stuff. Gendry should be king. And here's
Explain.
how. And here's how. So, Robert and Daenerys are cousins.
Yeah.
Their grandparents are cousins. So, and that's why Robert Baratheon, when Daenerys, or when their parents die, it makes sense that he becomes a king. So, if everyone is dead, by relation, Gendry is the closest person to both Robert and Daenerys in
Where
direct
was he
relation.
though?
I don't know, man. This
so
sideline, my bro.
sure.
So, but another thing about the end is like when you read the books, you sort of see that like the story wasn't necessarily pointing to Bran a lot. So for him to be the king at the end, it just
I felt like his writer's
I feel like even the main writer, he might not have agreed with it so much, but it's just like, you know what, knock yourselves out. Because like even historically in the books, one major thing is whenever rulers of the north usually come like down to the south, they always die. Something bad always happens. That's what happens in Ned anyway. Something bad always happens to them. So
Fair.
for a person from the north to be the king, it's just like, you scattered the whole story. What are you doing?
Exactly.
But from a strictly movies watcher perspective or series watcher perspective, to me, it made sense.
I feel like you just chose as a safe bet
I
because you didn't want
think he
to
was
pick
the safe
sides.
bet. Yes, I did not. And I
No.
was so upset with John. I was not trying to see his face.
Then again,
and
I
I
did-
loved him so much.
I felt like another thing I didn't like was I think Bran would have made a great hand of the king because
Yes.
Bran
Yeah.
after he became like
The seer.
he became a really terrible person. Did you see how he treated that mirror?
Yeah, fair. But I don't know. I feel that's what makes him a good king because he can see whatever
I felt
is
he was
going on.
emotionless at some
Yeah,
point.
at that point he felt
Like,
like
he
he
did
did
it
it.
like
Okay,
an
that's what they
oracle.
did. Because they all
He said that's
deserved
what he
that. They all deserved it.
No, I felt bad for Jon Snow the most because
Yeah.
that was like the most oblivious person to his own destiny, right? From his entire character journey and development. I mean, Daenerys at some point did get power crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
gave me the best quote from the entire series was when this guy, what's the name of that eunuch again? The bald, chubby guy,
Varys.
Varys,
Yeah,
right?
Varys.
Yeah. I love
Yes,
that guy.
when he was
Fake
talking to
character.
Snow. And he said this iconic line. Because Snow was like, look, she's powerful. We can't do anything. And this guy looked him there and said, men decide where power resides. And it is so true. Because despite all you need is for people to decide that this
That's
person is dethroned. And that's it. Like all through the world, even people like Alexander the Great, who conquered the world, was his own men that of him, right? Because there has to, and it was just beautiful, to be honest. It broke my heart that he, betrayed Daenerys and all of that.
But he still got his version of a happy ending.
I mean,
Going back.
Really, and they sent him back.
I mean, he went back to the people that have always loved him the most.
True though. I mean, he's always
Fair.
wanted to live in the Alba.
That he always wanted.
Fair.
He was
I
not
have
going
an
to.
He
opinion.
never wanted.
He never wanted
I have an
anyways.
unpopular opinion that
Which
the
is-
person who would have made the best king
Who?
was Tyrion.
Come
And here's why.
I don't know if I
And here's why.
agree.
He was someone who had been in all of the spaces. Tyrion is, in fact, of all of the characters,
Yeah.
Tyrion is the only one who has been to every one of those regions. And one of the interesting things is, ironically, of all the kings that we see in the show,
Yeah.
the best leader of the entire Seven Kingdoms, and ironically, he wasn't even king, was Tywin, was Tyrion's father.
Oh yeah, Tywin was
That guy
actually a
was.
beast.
That guy was.
He was-
like,
he was a
he was
beast.
that guy.
Solid. So
Like-
and Tyrion, I feel like Tyrion is the character who was most like him. So like the entire show, I'm like, I don't like the Lannisters, but
Maybe without
Yeah.
his there's this thing Tywin
Extravagances?
has. No,
No,
his
that-
harshness is more than harshness.
he has a vindictive nature.
Oh, you mean Tyrion's father, right?
Yes,
Oh, no, that guy was-
he's cold.
He's what you would call like a seasoned politician.
Yes.
That was
Right?
exactly
Somebody
That's
that
who
knows
he
how
is.
to navigate all the trenches, and if the best move is to take you out, he doesn't care. He's
That's
taking
it.
you out, right? Because I feel like he also knew what was going on with his children.
Oh,
No,
most
yeah, he
definitely.
knew.
He's just like,
Oh
you
no,
know,
you know he knew. He knew. No, he knew.
I feel like that was one of the reasons why he planned to marry both of them off to different people.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you're not going to embarrass me. Back it up, back it
Oh,
up.
no, yes. But yeah, But actually, I feel you in terms of Tyrion, because again, Tyrion was actually wise. He
was
started off
wise.
being very stupid, but like his character development was quite impressive, and he had that courage even for like a little person. Because I remember there was a time he was in one of those offlands, and somebody told him, "You walk as if you own the very ground you're walking on."
Yeah.
And that was a hard line to let me not lie.
In fact, I used to think that like Tyrion was going to become king because in the first season, there's this scene where Tyrion opens the door, and then if you watch the show, and it's in the books as well. He opens the door and there's a shadow that's cast against him, and it's Robert's shadow. And in the book, John sees him and says, "Oh, he stands in the shadow of a king, like somebody who could be king." And I was like,
That's
but anyways, no, we got Bran instead.
bruh. No,
I like Bran. No, everyone needs to actually leave Bran alone. Bran tried. Okay,
I mean,
he was
the
not
most
the best, but he was. He
Yeah.
was.
because imagine being crippled by a child or for seeing
For real,
something.
though. That had
But
nothing to
I
do with you.
disagree with the speech that who was the person that was it
Which one?
It
Tyrion?
was Tyrion, yeah, that speech was terrible.
The speech
When he says,
when he
"Oh,
introduced
who is
Bran,
who's a better king
that
than
was
the person
actually a
who
very
holds all our
stupid
stories?"
speech
I'm just
and
like,
did not make any sense. But
Yeah.
with the decision, I agree with the decision. Not the speech.
Another unpopular opinion is that one of my favorite characters in that show, like top 3, is Jaime Lannister.
How?
I'm sorry.
I hated him because he had the most potential,
Yes.
but he was so dumb. Like he
I
wasted
I like
it
how
all.
he was a really, really complex character. Like he would see something he knew was wrong.
Yeah,
He would know that he didn't want to do, but he do it anyway.
yeah,
And I'm just
he
like,
was.
He was definitely interesting, but he
He
used
was
to piss me
messed
off
up.
on a
He
daily
was
basis
just
so
messed
much.
up.
I think the part that got me at the end was when he goes back to Cersei after the entire war.
Yeah,
Do you know that
and they
death was
died
not
on
good
that.
enough?
On-
No, it was not good enough.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't good enough because
It
I'm
wasn't.
just like,
I was actually really
disappointed.
pissed
I
off
was
with that
really
yeah, but like, I like the fact that like it sort of mirrored how human beings can be sometimes.
Yeah.
You see a thing, you know it's a bad thing, you know it's not good for you, but you're just like, this is what I'm familiar with.
I'm going to choose it. Trauma brought it.
People do that a lot.
So I'm just like, I really like how it mirrors like human beings in general.
Yeah, probably my least favorite character would probably be Sansa.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Sansa is my least favorite
She was quite
character.
annoying.
She was
I
really
mean, she
annoying.
learned though. She learned.
And my list, one interesting thing about Sansa for me is that when the show ends, one thing I really dislike is that at the start of the show, Sansa's mother like really cares for her and wants her to be like her.
Yeah.
But I really hate that by the end of the show, the character that Sansa is most like is Cersei.
Are you sure?
I feel because in how she navigates, even in how she eventually pits Jon and Sant and Daenerys against each other, where Jon tells her, "Oh, I'm supposed to be the king," and she's like, "Oh, great, I won't tell anybody," and then she goes to
And
tell
she
literally
go-
everybody.
Oh my god, that part was annoying.
Exactly, and like the kind of conflict that she had with Daenerys, it felt like the kind of conflict that Cersei had with Marjorie. Like her character gave up, even when she knew that Peter Baelish could come and help them against when they were fighting Ramsay Bolton, and she didn't tell Jon. Like I just kept seeing traits that were like, this is very Cersei-like.
I just saw it as a woman who was trying to protect. In the end, a woman who knew that she was not going to be listened to
Cersei was her
and was trying
sister-in-law,
to
no?
protect
At
herself.
some point?
At some point, yeah.
No, I don't. Sansa. I'm coming to Sansa's defense here.
Okay.
Sansa she went through a lot. Okay,
Well,
she
let's-
saw a lot. She saw, what do they call that thing? Shiggy. She saw a lot of Shiggy. So Sansa, I think that her arc makes a lot of sense to me because there's something she said where she was like that. I may be a slow learner, but I learn. In the end, Sansa understood what it is. Family or no family, this is politics, and this is at least in their time. This is do or die. Like it's cut through dog eat dog kind of world. And Sansa was willing to survive. Full stop.
I think
She was the best choice for the North because she always kept the North in front of her.
in mind.
She was very much like her father in that way. She's the best choice in my
No,
opinion.
that guy's
Sansa is like
that their father.
honestly, for absolutely no reason, like
Do
he
you
should
like
have
his
just stayed at
death
home.
was so I mean it was a very crazy way that they introduced us into the series. Anyways, they showed us that this is not child's play.
Very real.
Anybody can die here. No
I
matter
was looking
how
and I'm like, you know
important
what? They're not
seem.
going to chop off his head, right? Somebody just come and
Everybody
save
was
him,
like,
right?
that's not gonna
they cut it off.
brutal. And I also heard that the character that played Joffrey, his
Yeah.
career suffered.
Yeah, apparently he doesn't
Yeah.
act
Because people
mainstream
hated him
anymore.
in
Because people
real
really
life
hated him.
because of that character.
I mean, that's it. He acted
No, he
really
did a
was
great
really good.
job.
He
He
did
did a
really
great
well.
job.
That
He
bro-
actually did an
that
excellent
bro
job.
made you hate him for life, and it was crazy. But yeah, before we get too carried away with Game of Thrones banter,
Because we've actually gone on for like 7 minutes. It's crazy.
I want us to play a little game right before we wrap up the episode, and it's called If I Rule the World. And I'm not going to pretend like it's an original idea. Anyways, we got it from one of my favorite podcasters, Trevor Noah, and it's simply we're just going around the room and asking if you could rule the world for a day, what's one universal change you would make? It could be a policy, it could be something drastic. Maybe it's imaginary, right? If it has to be, right? But what's that one thing that you change? And we all vote to see, who has the best idea. So who would like to go first?
So there are a lot of things I want to ban. And I think I was saying before that socialism is temporary, but I don't think that could be implemented in one day. But what I would do is I would ban billionaires. I don't think the concept of billionaires is
makes sense.
Logical. Because when you think about the fact that a billion is a million, what's that? A million of a million. That's insane. In dollars, what are you doing with that?
1,000 of a million.
1,000 of a million. So I'm just like, are you sure? That's 1,000 of a million. Yes, that's good. And I'm just like, why does somebody have that much money when there are homeless people? There are people that, and it's very wild to me because look at someone like Elon. Elon probably has like 300 billion, and I'm just thinking to myself. So there's this thing where they say if you spend, is it $2,000 or $5,000 every day from now, or if you spend $2,000 every day from when Jesus was born till now, you wouldn't exhaust.
That's even a small comparison. They said if you lay out his money and wrap it around the the length of the entire world. The earth is like a sphere, right? At least you don't know the actual, but if you spread it across, you can wrap it around the world so many times that you lose count, to show you how much money that is. But I feel I'm struggling to agree with you, but because of the idea that Ife and I always have this discussion, and he tries to convince me that there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. Yeah, which I think, at least we're talking global standards here anyways, and I kind of agree, because there are almost no billionaire whose wealth is not built off of child labor, because a lot of people don't understand the value chain of businesses, right? From the ores to the local, can't even call them factories or extraction sites all across the globe, in Asia and Africa, and it's child labor to factories even in China. Like it's a lot, right? Before they amass that kind of wealth. And the fact that their wealth is built off of such repression, it's, But I'm thinking, how about you? Do you agree with that? Are you voting for his idea?
No.
Wow.
No, as an aspiring billionaire, I don't think I can stand with my ops. No, I cannot stand with my ops. I'm sorry.
Your ops,
no.
Okay.
So,
what's your idea?
Side note.
All right. So, for Jesse's idea, I think I'll actually vote for it. As much as it pains me, I'm yet to find a truly ethical billionaire, at least in my terms, right? There's just always so much that goes into the process of acquiring that much money, and there's a kind of degradation that always goes with the people you work with. Let's just clarify, billionaire in dollars, so I know that the global standard of, because other currencies that don't meet up, it's not as hard. But I think Kilali voted against.
I don't agree with Jesimiel's idea at all. Mostly because I hope to be a billionaire. No, I plan to be a billionaire one day. So maybe I'll be the first ethical one you meet.
But I'll visit you. Eat the rich, please.
Are you going to come and check codes to run what? Like what?
I'll call
his people
just come to say hi.
Fair.
Okay, cool.
With protesters.
Cool.
How about you?
Mine is not anything policy based.
Really,
it
could be anything
necessarily. Really. Okay. Thankfully. So I think that is what I would like to do personally. When I have the money to do it, is what I would want to do. So if I were to rule the world one day, I would like to set up sort of like sanctuaries for it to be a sort of rehabilitation community sanctuary thing for people that are homeless and poor and all of this. So this is my idea, the pipeline. Nobody should steal this idea. Nobody should steal it unless led by the Spirit of God. Don't steal it. Okay, so my plan is very simple. I will I'm literally going to pack people off the street. You understand? I will just invite people from off the street. It will run like an actual country. You come in, you work, you develop a skill. As you're developing a skill, we'll pay you in quotes, and then your payment will also be how you sort of pay us for rent and everything, but it will be very much subsidized. Like you're living there for free almost, just so that it's not a case of where you're coming in and just eating and taking. Human beings, when you give too much, see finish starts fast. So it's just a case so that people would have an understanding of what it means, so they have a safe space to come home to, and at the same time have an understanding of what it means to work and a living, and then from there you can now transition into the real world. I just want it to be a sort of rehabilitation. That's my idea, and I would put sanctuaries like this across the world, across, so anyone can walk in at any time. We'll have the side for women, we'll have the side for men, children, families, it will be a whole community on its own. That's what I would do. And then housing, especially in Nigeria, I would bring everything down. In fact, there will be limits. This is part of it. There will be limits to what you can charge for a house. I promise you. No one will charge more than that. Like Nigeria, no more than 1 million naira. Sorry, landlords. I'm so sorry. Okay, yes, that's mine.
Okay, that was like 2 in 1.
Yeah.
But for the first one, I won't say I'm finding some gaps. The first question I'll ask you is, will it be voluntary for the homeless people to go there, or mandatory?
Like they have to. Okay, you're asking me if they would. I mean, I would largely like it to be voluntary, but I think I would make it mandatory because people, the realities are there are people that are comfortable living on the streets, and they don't want to leave the streets. But if you're going to, I'm not trying to say this is the way to solve the homeless crisis. But I would like to think that to an extent it can maybe help. Like if it's a mandatory thing, then we can sort of figure a way out to get less and less people off the streets in the long run.
Yeah, it's a tad bit realistic. If you made it voluntary, I would not even
if
jump on that.
I don't think you'll get anybody unless you plan to go
people
out
will come
with a truck
for 1 week.
Exactly,
and they will go.
Exactly, they'll pick the food and go. But the problem is like human nature as a society. I can't remember who the first person to say this, but it's always been rinsed and repeated. Is that if you give everyone in the world the exact amount of money, right, in circulation, give everybody an equal amount of money, give it another year or so, money is back with the same people, and some other people at the bottom. So I think the reason why I might vote against that is that there's no underlying system to keep them back, because a lot of people might still go back to the bottom.
The things that made them homeless in the first place, maybe.
Exactly. I mean, there are the habits, there's the frame of mind, there's so much.
I mean, but then think of the ones that don't. We have to. Why are you looking at the glass half empty? This man. Come on now. Think of the ones that it would work for. If it doesn't work for all, it works for some. And I think that in the long run, that's one of the things you can hope for, is that at least it will work for these set of people. There are definitely people that would not want to change, because not everyone embraces change. But that's okay. You will just go back inside. And I'm very strict. You will stay there until you change.
Have you heard of concentration camps?
No, I beg you. A, B, E, and G. I beg. But please, yes. But I think based on what you even said, for cases that are, if I'm thinking about like a mental health hospital sort of thing, for cases that are extreme, like it's obvious that these people are not going to change. Why not explore the option of just keeping them as permanent residents in quotes? I mean, why not? If you can rehabilitate you back into normal society, why not? This is a nice dream that I have.
Prison at this point.
No, you're not a prisoner. If you are well fed and well taken care of, are you a prisoner?
Have you seen prisons in Norway?
You are not a prisoner. You are being taken care of.
Yes, ma'am.
I will take care of you.
All right, Amanda.
You can trust in my. You can trust in my mandate. This, yeah, but that would be mine. What do you think, Jesimiel?
So I think I'm half and half. Because I think it's a good idea. I think the only tricky part sometimes is just like execution as well, especially like sort of like Olu said, with human nature, not just for even the people that will be there, but for the people who will manage it long term outside of your own oversight. Best believe that Chinese people will have a field day with these sanctuaries. And not just even just Chinese, I just mean like places where they're like very industrialist. I just like to think that innovation can sometimes take a very interesting turn.
Well, I don't know how to answer that question, but I thank God Jesimiel is here and he has a brilliant mind. So when is my time to rule the world, I will take him and put him in China so he can solve that problem.
Wow.
God is good. You see?
Okay.
Fair. So
So
you have my vote in hope.
Thank you.
Should I be nice? I mean, since it's the first time I'm playing, why not?
This is how charismatic leaders are born.
Very real.
All right, now on to my idea. I have been sitting on this one for quite a while.
That hand rubbing is
actually.
very sinister. But go on.
There's this video. Oh no, okay. You posted it on your story.
Which
that
one?
video where we were playing that game, okay,
Oh
and your
my
face.
God.
He has the most cunning look.
So, what was the name of that game we played again?
I don't know. It was something about countries, like,
Yeah, but like
taking other people's territories or something like that.
We were like 20 people or 21 or 22 people.
I
in
would
the
love
room,
that game. What game is
right?
that?
So each person picks a country in the world, random country in the world, out of over 190 countries, and everybody else must guess which country you have chosen. Nobody else knows apart from the game master, but the game master is neutral, right? So we go turn by turn. You pick someone, guess their country. If you get it right, you've colonized them. So they come and sit with you.
Yeah.
So model
Right.
UN for house parties. Nice.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Right, and it was cool because like you get each person is trying until one person singularly has colonized everybody, and I won. I mean,
He had this. If you see his face,
You need to do an
my
ancestry
goodness.
test. How many % white people are you?
that day he scared you.
I scared
I was
you.
looking at him. He was just looking at all of us, and I could feel myself become cattle in his eyes because you could tell that he was plotting on us. I still don't know how he won till date. I don't know. I think I was the last man standing. It was
I
just
think
me and
so,
Tolu,
yeah.
and then you won. I was so mad. Okay, that's not the point.
but yeah. So my idea, plain and simple, is an oral and written exam or an assessment, thorough, that must be given to every human being before you can procreate. Now, I have my beef with the fact that like the family is the root of society.
Yeah.
Right. And we cannot pretend that so much stigma, hatred, even racism wasn't bred from the family unit. It's like something we discussed before. Loads of people have very nuanced or biased conclusions and things, and other people pick up that person's conclusion and make it their definition. And there's no place that happens faster than the family. We're human beings, we learn by imitation.
true.
Yeah.
Right? And then let's even forget about bad parenting. Let's look at absent fathers or mothers or horrible things that happen. And I mean, bulk of a human being's trauma happens from the home, even before you interact with school and everything.
Right.
So yeah, if the world feels less in parenting, I feel like it gives us a better shot. So yeah, I mean, even if you're illiterate, if you don't have, there will be a system. So if you fail, that's your business. But it's not just a policy thing. Since I mean, this is imaginary, anyways. It would kind of also be biological. All that, permit my French, but all that congee and everything in your body cannot be exercised or actualized unless you've passed that thing. It's kind of like all this dystopian
It's given
divergence.
1984.
So you're
Exactly.
you're basically telling people. To me, look, what I'm hearing is you can't have sex in this way
Yeah.
until
Until you pass that. Yeah.
I
So
rate
are you
it
going
too.
to
I mean, you
wait?
write the test. How often do you leave the house to buy milk?
So wait, I have a follow-up question. I know.
Okay.
Have you finished pitching your idea?
Okay, let me see what other loopholes are there. So yes, I mean it's biologically linked, so like it's not physically possible for you to do that.
And that makes sense. So they
Right.
just sterilize you if you fail
I'm
the
so
exam.
sorry. I'm so sorry. You know why?
Okay, what's the question?
Although I can see the kind of leader you.
No.
It's like what I can hear is okay. So will people be allowed to have sex?
Now that's a
Yes, I mean, you can sterilize people. I sound worse. Please go
I
on.
feel like you will have
Yeah.
a potential war in your hands.
Well, now that's a tricky part because if I say no, then
Taking away people's human rights.
yeah.
I don't know what I thought when you
But
said the
if
quiz. I thought
say
it was for.
yes, then that means the procreation just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then we still have the entire umbrella of all other things, STDs and that,
True.
right?
But I mean, that's their
But-
business.
Fair. So I think I would say people can still, but procreation would not have. But then that becomes also a danger because I mean we're now in a time where loads of people have no interest in even being parents. So it would more or less give them the open room to continue doing that without that.
Oh my God, you lead us to extinction.
So yeah, I think I'll actually say no. They can't have sex whatsoever until they do
serious?
that. Yeah, at least
okay,
it's kind of
okay,
reinforces some sort of responsibility. I know it will still go.
I think I'm going to change how Olu's name is saved in my phone. I'll cancel Olu, Big Brother. It's a Big Brother, Olu 1984.
Come on. So what do you guys think?
So, originally when you were talking about the quiz, I thought you were going to say that people have to write a quiz before they can vote in elections.
Oh.
And that's a good one. But for this one, I'm a little iffy. Because I think that people should still be allowed to have sex, whether or not. But the procreation thing is very valid thing, because it's also a lot of problems, especially in terms of like socialization. But essentially, one interesting thing I've been thinking about recently, and I think might just be like a minor loophole for this is, and I always say I'll write an article about this. I didn't write about it. Is that I think that at this point, people are now a lot more socialized through the internet than we are by like our family units. Because one interesting thing is I disagree with my parents a lot about a lot of things. They've thrown me out. And I think that it's because there's a sort of ethnicity that is now like ideological. Like, I have a lot more in common ideologically with someone perhaps who lives in Sweden than my neighbor. So, and I think like that might be something to consider in terms of like socialization. So, but the family unit is really important, because I mean, there's still a lot of things that my parents have taught me that I still stick to. I'm like, this is a really important thing, and like it makes absolutely no sense. But yeah,
fair. Plus, I mean, we can always factor. I think it was Snoop Dogg that tweeted it one day. If the internet goes down for 1 week, he tweeted, how many of you will still be alive? Because so many people will crash out. Right? I also feel like it's not a possibility we should look forward to, but it just shows that like, despite how drawn to our technology we are, the physical still has its place. Definitely. Right? So yeah. So what are your votes?
Because like I'm always drawn to Lord forgive me, ideas that are for the good of the people, but not good to the people. I'm with you.
What?
It may not be good to you, but it's good for you. I'm there.
Fair.
It may not be good to you, but it's good for you. You guys are strict though.
So that quote is giving African parents, bro.
Very much African parent. Oh wow. I kind of like the idea though. I won't lie. I especially like the fact that you have to write a test to become a parent, because there's so much that goes into being a parent. I'm not so sure. I don't want to generalize, but I don't know how many people really think about what it means to become a
definitely.
parent.
Loads of people don't.
I think they like the idea of having a child.
Yeah.
A baby.
Loads of people like the aesthetic of it.
Because babies are fun.
Oh, babies are so cute.
But
But
so
then
much
a
work.
child, like you have a teenager, and then you have an adult that's in their 20s.
And you never stop being a parent. Honestly.
Facts.
Till you die.
And you also have to evolve with the different stages.
That's it.
Adulthood is even the toughest, because you move from being their parent or so caretaker to becoming, or at least trying to become their friend, because now they're an adult.
Yes.
The relationship with you has to be symbiotic or voluntary. Or nothing changes.
They don't want to
and switching from the fact that when you're a child, you're a baby, you're literally trying to off yourself. Your parents' job for the first few years of your life is to keep you alive and keep you from damaging or destroying yourself,
and other people.
To now change that view of you to, you're a fully functional adult now, you don't need
me.
It's tough actually. I feel for parents in that regard.
I can't lie, every time friends say I don't want to have kids, I respect it. Like
I respect the honesty. Like it is better you carry yourself or your toxicity to yourself than to damage the next generation.
Just keep it to yourself.
But
I think the only
issue
I want to amend it. I feel the test makes sense, but I would recommend like a mental evaluation type of thing,
like an assessment.
Because
it's both written and oral.
Go and see a therapist. Let them tell us if you are sane. You understand? If you're ready for this. But the whole no sex, no, I think you actually have a war. Like people will fight you, Olu. They will try and kill you.
Yeah, I mean that's why I said it's not just a policy thing.
I love that show.
I prefer it to Black Mirror. It's more PG.
It's more PG. It's lighter, but like it tells like those really complex stories as well.
Yeah, it's messed up. No, Black Mirror is messed up.
I can vote for you. Why not?
Very well, thank you very much.
Nice.
Well, it would be hilarious. Like you see somebody crying in the street. So what happens? Like, I failed it.
I failed it. I can't be a parent. And I can't have sex.
That's
too.
what I'm saying for the rest of my life.
No.
Oh, you can always retake the test. That's the beauty of it.
Okay,
How
that's
many
great.
times do you have to retake it before
I
you're
don't know. But if you
no
give
go?
somebody a blacklist, that's wickedness. isn't
Honestly,
it?
like, I mean, but then again, imagine somebody taking tests
no.
like 4 times and they fail.
No, you can't prepare. No, if you can't take it. If it was me, you can't take it more than at least 5 times because that means that you're not a serious
And
person.
when that 5 times stuff is nice, so I
You're
would have
not
said like 2 or
serious.
3 times.
Take
Because
you go and prepare.
for a whole lifetime.
for a whole lifetime,
Okay.
That's bright.
All right.
that's 2 or 3 times. Though.
Yeah, but thank you so much for tuning into this episode, guys. We had a lot of fun. It's actually a tie, right? She got 2 votes, I got 2 votes. So we'll share it. We'll share this one, okay?
Jesimiel.
Yeah.
So you people would rather ban sex, and okay, if it's sanctuary idea is good, than ban billionaires. Wow.
I mean, you always
Like
have
I
to
said,
remember.
I cannot support my ops.
Okay, she
So-
has
Oh,
a
fair,
dream.
very, very
for me,
valid.
it's also the fact I did vote for
Oh, you
you,
did
but
vote for
the
me.
fact that, you know,
Kilali is the person I have beef with.
people
Yeah,
still need
you do.
motivation anyways. I
Very
mean,
real.
if you are going to spend 40, 50 years of your life in the corporate world, there has to be some ceiling to look forward to. But, you know, it's just that much power in the hands of few people is what always gets the world back in the same cycle, right, of, you know, violence and the vicious cycle we have today. So, yeah. Well, this was a really, really fun episode. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you to my wonderful guests, right? I hope, you know, to have you soon again
We had a
on
lot
the
of
pod. I'm sure Jesse's coming for his revenge. For sure. But yeah, tune in to the pod, subscribe everywhere. We're on jamit.app, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube if you love videos. And thank you for tuning in.
Bye.